on behalf of Samutkarsh IAS Academy. I would be moderating today's program. Before we start, I would like to briefly explain about our organization. Samutkarsh IAS Academy is a non-profit organization. Aim of Samutkarsh is nation building through IAS, IPS, and other civil services that form the backbone of administration in our country. We work under the guidance of Sankalp IAS Academy, New Delhi, which is one of the leading institutes in India in this regard. Our main center is in Hubli, North Karnataka. We at Samutkarsh conduct various programs starting from school level. Through our school programs, we create awareness among parents and students about the civil service examination. We also conduct activities related to communication skills, general knowledge, culture, and like. At the college level, we conduct orientation programs as well as classes in different parts of Karnataka, and thousands of students have been benefited from this. After graduation, we conduct coaching classes for both preliminary and main examination at our main center in Hubli. The faculty members come from New Delhi Center of Sankalp. The interview guidance program is conducted in Bangalore, and many of our students who attended this program have been selected for IAS, IPS, IRS, and other services. And this year, 22 candidates have been selected as officers. We also have a study center in Bangalore. With this, we will now move on to the program. Today's talk is on self-reliance in defense technologies, and the speaker is Dr. G. Satish Reddy. Dr. G. Satish Reddy is the current chairman of Defense Research and Development Organization and is the Secretary, Department of Defense R&D. He is also the Director General of Aeronautical Development Agency. He has made phenomenal contributions to defense research and development, and he is renowned for his pioneering contributions to the Indian defense and aerospace sector, more particularly advanced aerospace technologies and missile systems. Dr. Reddy has been an integral part of all missile systems in India. I repeat, Dr. Satish Reddy has been an integral part of all missile systems in India. He has also spearheaded Mission Shakti, India's first anti-satellite missile test, ASAT. Dr. Satish Reddy is basically an electronics and communication engineering graduate from Anandpur. He received his MS and PhD from JNTU Hyderabad. He has received numerous national and international awards. In fact, he is the first Indian recipient in over 100 years to be conferred with the prestigious Honorary Fellowship and Silver Medal by the Royal Aeronautical Society, London. He has also received award from American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics, and also Homi J. Baba Gold Medal. He has many more feathers in his cap, but due to want of time, I have cut short. Really, we are lucky to have him with us today. Initially, Dr. Satish Reddy would speak for about 35 to 40 minutes and then answer your questions for 10 to 15 minutes. You may kindly post your questions on Facebook page. I will collect them and put them across to Satish Reddy to deliver talk.
Very good morning. Thank you, Dr. Prakash, for the nice introduction what you gave about me. And I'm very thankful to Samatkarsh for inviting me to share some of the defense R&D developments in the country and thought processes what I have with all people who are aspiring to become the IAS officers of the country. Very important that you should be knowing what are the developments in the country, what has been happening, and where we are ahead, as you are going to be the people who are going to govern this country. Very important role. I keep seeing here the IAS officers. We are only very few secretaries who are non-IAS officers who are scientific from the scientific community, whereas you will see about 90 to 95% of the people who are governing country are the IAS officers. So their knowledge, their decision making plays a major role in the country's progress. So it's important that you should be knowing the most important element of the country, the defense and the defense R&D, which actually makes country prosperous and also protecting this country. So let me give you a little brief about DRDO. The Defense Research and Development Organization is part of the Department of Defense R&D, for which I am the secretary. There are four secretaries. Now I think actually there are five secretaries in the Ministry of Defense. The Department of Defense, the secretary is Defense Secretary. The Department of Defense Production, there is a secretary for that. And then there is a department which is called ESW, which is for the employees' social welfare. Actually, also another secretary is there. Recently, one more secretary is created, which is the Chief of Defense Staff, is also Secretary, Defense Department of Military Affairs. So, coming to DRDO, is responsible for developing, design, development, and research into the defense equipment, arms, ammunition, what all related to that. The organization started in the year 1958 as a testing organization. The time there was nothing, so whatever equipment got out or some are made here in the ordnance factories and all that, there was a necessity to have a testing organization. So that was started DRDO as a testing organization. Later it got converted into scientific research. So to carry out the research, scientific research in the country, people thought there should be an organization. The DRDO has been converted into a scientific research organization. Later it converted itself into technology development. The necessary technologies which are required for the defense have been actually to be developed by DRDO. By late 70s and early 80s, the technology development has become as product development, weapons development, and equipment development. That's the time actually Dr. Kalam has joined DRDO as Director, Defense Research and Development Laboratory, Hyderabad. DRDL, Hyderabad, is primarily responsible for the missiles development. There have been very dedicated and eminent scientists who were there working in DRDL, trying to make missiles, which were not actually successful, but many technologies towards missile development have been developed in that laboratory by the time Dr. Kalam has reached that organization, has joined that organization. So knowing the potential of the scientists who are there, that I think Dr. Kalam thought had a real quantum jump in our concept of developing the technologies, and so he conceived the idea of Integrated Guided Missiles Development Program, IGMDP, wherein thought about 5 missiles development simultaneously. Missiles are Prithvi, Agni, Akash, and Nak. So these are the 5 missiles under one program. He had the courage to go to the then Prime Minister. See, why I'm using the word courage is, normally the tendency is that when we haven't developed one missile also by that time, we have not successfully tested one missile also by that time, normally people will be thinking that why not we develop one missile, show the success, and then keep taking some more. But then Dr. Kalam thought there is potential here. Let us really take a big program, and then thought, let me have 5 missiles, and then could go to the Prime Minister and could convince the government that we can take 5 missiles development simultaneously. That is what I said. The Akash, Trishul, the first two being surface-to-surface missiles, Akash being surface-to-air missile, and Trishul being having a multi-role surface-to-air, air-to-ground, and things like that, and then Nag being an anti-tank missile. So these are the 5 missiles which have been taken up, and the development activity started. Simultaneously in DRDO, the tank, the main battle tank development work has started. That is in CBRE. That's in Chennai. So this is and one other major program which has been taken. So the missile development what has started, the first Prithvi missile has been successfully test fired from Sriharikota in uh, Andhra Pradesh, close to Chennai. That's the space range what has been there, showing that there was no range also for DRDO at the time. There was no test range for the DRDO at the time. So that time actually the committee has been set up by Dr. Kalam and started searching for a suitable location across the country and various places where we can have a test range for the missiles. People have identified the Chandipur, which is in Balasore district of Orissa, and identified that as the missiles test range, which that time was called as interim test range. There was a national test range, NTR, which was also supposed to be coming at Paliapal, Orissa district, and due to various reasons and miscommunications, misconcepts among the people, there have been some protests and so on and so forth that there should not be any test range coming up in Paliapal and all that. So the interim test range, what we thought, that continued as a major range. So after the first Prithvi flight, which has happened in the year 1988, successfully, it paved the way for the intermediate range ballistic IRBM Agni to test. Why the name Agni has come is the Agni is the first, but that time it was a long range missile, which is actually intermediate range. We tested for about 1100 kilometers around that. And so it goes out of atmosphere to an altitude of about 500 kilometers or so the time. And then when it comes down, it comes with a good velocity. And so due to the atmospheric drag, the surface temperature of that Agni body, the Agni payload, goes to anything 1000, 2000, 3000 degrees some temperature. Today's Agni, it goes to about 3000 degrees temperature. So that is how the name has been given as Agni. The Prithvi name has come because it is surface to surface missile. Agni also is a surface to surface missile because of the high temperature. It has been given the name Agni. So this Agni, we have tested it from Chandipur, ITR, the interim test range in the year 1989, May 22nd. But let me tell you a little bit, being part of both the missiles, Prithvi development, first Prithvi development, and the successful testing of the Agni, successful testing of it. The Kalam had a dream of establishing a laboratory similar to NASA. So when he was director DRL, when he came in the year 1982, immediately thought about why not we have a bigger laboratory, lot of space, lot of facilities created, and create a world-class facility like NASA. So found the land next to DRDL about 10 kilometers away from there, a place called Imarat, wherein about 2,200 acres of land has been identified, which we were used as test range for short-range missiles, and then went to the government. And that time we could get about 100 crores for construction of RCI, and see the type of person what he was, and he could bring the prime minister of the country for laying the foundation stone, and then in the year 1988, when was inaugurated, he could bring the president of country for inaugurating the level. Such is the way what Dr. Kalam thinks. He always says that think big. So he showed that you can think big, you should think big and do the things which are big. And only you can achieve bigger things and greater things. That is what he has been saying. If you don't think to become big, if you don't think that you should do great things, then you cannot do great things. If you attempt to do that only, you will be successful, or you may be success minus minus or success plus plus, whatever it is. So that is what he has shown. So the RCI was inaugurated, and then the Agni integration started. I remember those days. I think most of the people who were working on the program, I think for about 8 months, all of us left office in the 3 a.m. early morning and again back in the office by about 9:30. So how people have worked with a lot of emotion, lot of commitment, lot of motivation, dedication, and all that. And we went to Balasur. I remember still that it was the 30th March when we went in a AN-32 aircraft to Konda, and from there drove down to Balasur. And we all stayed for a complete almost 2 months. This May 22nd is the launch, and we could launch it successfully, showing it to the world that yes, we have done and we could do it. From there onwards, I think that is where the actual quantum come and the confidence came in the nation, confidence came in the scientists, confidence came in the army. Prithvi has been developed as Prithvi 1, which was got inducted into the armed forces. Later, it got converted into Prithvi 2, a longer range of 350 kilometers, and that went to the armed forces. Same Prithvi ship launched version called Dhanush also got inducted into the net. Same Agni has been developed as Agni 1, Agni 2, Agni, Agni 4, and the ICBM class Agni 5 having 5,000 each. See the series of developments, whatever happened, so many missiles developed, so many missiles got inducted into the armed forces. Country has become powerful in the missile. Similarly, the surface to air missile Akash, today, I think about 25 to 27,000 crores worth of order, which has gone to Bharat Dynamics Limited and Bharat Electronics Limited, related to both Army and Air Force. Lots of have become very successful in that, and still the orders are coming for some more missiles, which again BEL and BDL will be surface to air. Then the anti-tank guided missile NARC, which is actually one of the most modern missiles today, even though it has been conceived 25, 30 years back. Today, after successful trials, it has become the only missile which has such a range in a fire and forget anti-tank guided. Same thing, helicopter launcher, Helena missile. And from there onwards, many missiles have been developed today. We have Astra, which is air-to-air missile. It has about 100 kilometers range, one of the most modern weapon, and it's a powerful weapon in Air Force. That is and getting inducted into the Air Force. We have the medium range surface to air missile MRSAT, having again a successful venture, and already you inducted into the Navy and getting inducted into Air Force Army. And then a lot of other missiles which have been developed. Now today we have a man-portable anti-tank guided missile MPATM having about 2.5 kilometers range. And then we have the major program called the ballistic missile defense. It's one of the most important missions which country has taken up. There are only about 4 or 5 nations in the world who have attempted such mission, like America, Russia, China, Israel, and so on and so forth. And we are one of the countries which had a very successful program of you can neutralize or you can attack. Attack means it is directly going hitting the incoming ballistic missile. Altitudes of 100, 120 kilometers, 140 kilometers altitudes has been successfully demonstrated by this country, a successful ballistic missile program. So with this, we could show to the world, we have shown to the world that you have a missile. You have the confidence in missiles. You are self-reliant in the area of missiles. Many technologies which are required for this have been. I'll come to the industry part a little later, where the industries have played a major role. I'll come into it later. This missile development of ballistic missile defense has paved the way for anti-satellite mission. At that time, only the 3 countries have demonstrated in the world: America, Russia, and China. India also wanted to show its capability. Honorable Prime Minister has, in the year 2017, September, has given us the direction that yes, take up this mission and keep it confidential and do it in 2 years. New missile has been configured, and then on 27th March 2019, the mission has been where a missile has gone and hit a satellite orbiting at about 300 kilometers, having a velocity of about 7.8 kilometers per second, and this missile having about 2.83 kilometers per second, having roughly about 11 kilometers is the relative velocity, and you could go and directly hit that satellite from the geometric center of that satellite. 6 centimeters. Within 6 centimeters, you could go and hit it. That's the capability what the country has shown to the entire world that we have such capability. So many things. And you also know that parallelly the main battle tank Arjun got again inducted into the services. Same Arjun Mark 1 has become Mark 1A with a lot of improvements, which again is getting inducted into the services now. And parallel at that time in the 1980s, country thought we don't have a fighter aircraft program. Let us think of a fighter aircraft program. And that's how the concept of LCA has come. The Aeronautical Development Agency, which the society under the Ministry of Defense R&D has been established to design and develop and conceive and then conceptualize and then make the prototypes of LCA. And with the joint efforts of ADA and HAL and all other DRDO laboratories and CSIR laboratories like NAL and all that, the LCA has been conceived and the LCA has been realized and the LCA is getting got inducted and getting the IOC aircrafts have been already inducted. The final IOC means initial operation clearance. The final operation clearance OC aircrafts are also getting inducted now. They're being produced by HAL and 83 more numbers of aircrafts have been actually negotiated by Indian Air Force. It is about to be placed in a very short time now. 83 numbers, large, a single order from Air Force on LCA. And further, the LCA development has paved the way for many things. There are many industries which have come to the country. Developed a lot of aeronautics, a lot of components, a lot of systems which are required for the fighter aircraft. A lot of academics are also have developed, a lot of professors are able to work with you today. Which again, as I said, which when I talk about academia and industry, I will give you a brief about it. The aircraft got now the same LCA is becoming LCA Mark II and advanced and medium combat aircraft. Many aircrafts are being developed in the country. So many things got developed in the country around missiles, tanks, aircrafts, and then at the same time, definitely radars which are required for Akash missile or many other radars, battlefield, what are required. So many things have been developed by a laboratory called LRDE in Bangalore. And today, we are able to develop long range radars, very long range radars, very short range radars, miniaturized radars, micro radars, active penetrating radars, through all radars. Talk about many things. Very long range. These are the types of various radars with the support of industries have come, which are able to work with us. So we have again become self-reliant in the area. Similarly, the laboratory in Cochin by NPOA is able to develop mini sonar that are required for the ships and submarines. Fitted as the ships and submarines, which are used for detection and many things of the underwater related system, torpedoes, vessels, and whatnot and all. Today we have reached a condition where when we are buying a submarine from outside also, we are fitting our own sonars going there and then the results come here. This is the type of sonars technologies what we are developing. Is self-reliant again in the area. We could develop many torpedoes in the country. TAL, lightweight torpedo, has been developed. Varunastra, which is a longer range torpedo, developed by a laboratory called NSTL Vizag. Torpedo, and you have the capability to develop varieties of. Similarly, electronic warfare system, laboratory called DLRL in Hyderabad, developed varieties of electronic warfare. Communications, laboratory in Dehradun has developed varieties of communications things. So many things. And let me talk about the guns. Today, the country has developed an artillery gun has the range 155 cars, world's longest range gun which can fire shells for a world's longest range goes to 50 kilometers. developed here with the help of industry. Two industries as uh, Bharat Forge, Tatas have developed two guns with a laboratory called ARDE in Pune. So there's so many things which have been developed, which are actually standing the uh, world as one of six nations, one of seven nations. And all that. Forgot to tell you about one of the most important missiles what the country has developed. Actually, the Trump has initiated is the BrahMos missile, Indo-Russia joint venture, the supersonic cruise missile, which flies at lower altitude so that radars cannot detect it, but flies at supersonic speed. That means more than the speed of the sound, which actually BrahMos travels at about 3 times the speed of the sound. And that missile has been developed in the country along with Russia, and it is named as the two rivers, the Brahmaputra here in the country and Moskva River in Russia. Combining these two names, coming closer to our weapon, which was there in our Puranas called Brahmas. So Brahmos is the one which is in when you develop the Prithvi, Agni, and other missiles, you will become one of the six nations, one of the say seven nations in the world. You become the first nation. This used to ask, and that is what the BrahMos missile. So these are all the various technologies have been developed. And submarines, you are able to make your own submarine. You are able to build your own ships in the country. The whole shipyards, what we have here, the Goa shipyard, Kochi shipyard, the shipyard at HSL at Visakhapatnam, Garden Range, many shipyards are able to build our own. We are able to build now our own carrier, wherein aircraft can take off. That type of a ship you are able to build today in the country. So, end of it. Let me tell you, important. HAL could develop many of the helicopters, whether it is KLH or LCH, and that sort of a mini helicopters the country could develop. So looking at all these things, now today, country is self-reliant in the area of missiles, radars, sonars, torpedoes, electronic warfare systems, tanks, ships, and in fact, submarines, and communication systems, and guns, and another important area, AWACS, airborne warning and control system. We could develop in the country. We have given 3 aircraft to our Air Force. So this is one where we can develop any type of AWACS system what is required for our armed forces, and electronic warfare system. So these are all the areas where country has become self-reliant today. And I'm sure in the remaining areas also will. Then let me tell you about what's the situation. How was the ecosystem? Ecosystem is one of the very important things for anything to grow in the country. It's not just one organization alone designing and developing and manufacturing. You have to have the whole ecosystem in the country should come up. Ecosystem, the industry, the academia, other research organizations. Without that, one what they were. From there onwards, ask what they need to take, what type of the food they need to take at what type of a condition, what you need to take at desert, what you need to take at high altitude, the high altitude acclimatization chambers, oxygen what is required there, the heating elements what are required there for areas like Siachen, the shoes what are required to walk in snows, the avalanche prediction systems, particularly in the snow areas and all that, to see that our soldiers are very safe. And there onwards, we talk about even the food heating systems, the toilet systems which are required, bio-toilet which has been developed for the Siachen, being used everywhere, including railways and all that. From there onwards, talk about radar, talk about missiles, talk about guns, alarms, bullets, ammunition, aircraft, submarines, ships, and communication systems, talk about laser systems, talk about weapons, varieties of things, torpedoes. So many things you have. But it's not possible for one organization alone to develop, talk about life sciences, talk about nuclear, biological, chemical related things, detection system, protection system, so many things. So ecosystem is very important. When we started in the year early 1980s, there were very few industries. In fact, we had workshops in our own laboratory where we were making nut and bolt sort of a thing. There were very few, just handpicked number of industries who were able to work with us. And with the program coming up, industry also started. Number of industries started. Industries which were actually taking drawings from us in building called build to print have changed to build to specific. Many industries are today. I can very proud. There are more than 1,800 industries working with us today. 1,800 which are at the system and subsystem level. At component level and various other things which supply, there are more than 10,000 industries working with us today. And slowly converted from build to print to build. Meaning I don't give any drawing, I don't give design. I give the specifications, you'll be able to build that system. I have to build an aircraft. If I start making every display, every wall, every regulator, every from tire onwards, avionics onwards, displays onwards, it's extremely difficult for us to build the aircraft in a given short time. If there is an industry which will make a display, which makes an actuator, which makes a wall, which makes an avionics unit, then you concentrate on the design of the aircraft and then get all these systems, integrate them, then you have an aircraft flying. That's the system what it is. So that is what today evolving many industries which are able to come up and work with us. As I said in the avionics, when I was talking about aircraft, for a couple of industries. Today, a lot of industries are talking about new aircrafts. They're giving a very short period of development time because so many industries are now mature. Many industries, they have the capabilities. Some of the industries have their own R&D and who is working in this shape. Similarly, academia, very important element for a country that has to become technologically advanced. The academia, the universities play a major role. See, when we talked in the 1980s, had very few institutes were able to work, understand this technology. See, suppose I have my navigation engineering. When I came out of my college, I haven't heard about what is a gyroscope. Never heard of the word. And I jumped into it and started working in that. So academic institute should also come up to the level where we want. Academic professor be able to sit and review, understand everything, is on the same plane and able to converse, question, this, that. For that, the academic institutes also come up to your level, what you are looking for. Yes, they may be good in their own subject. They may be very strong in electronics, basic devices. They may be strong in materials. What defense require and how it is, that level coming up. So those days, there were only a couple of institutes like Jadavpur University, Calcutta University, or Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore. There were nothing. Today, there are many academic institutes. We have 8 centers of excellence in various academic, Delhi IIT, Mumbai IIT, Chennai. We have in Jadavpur University. We have in IIC. We have in Bharatiya University. We have in Central University of Hyderabad. We have Central University Jammu. We have in University in Mizoram. Centers of excellence. Today we have about 275 academic institutes which are working with us on various small to bigger projects and related R&D efforts. 275. And today we have 1,000 crores worth of projects running with academic. 1,000 crores. And industries, as I said, today we have given last week, more than 1,000 technology transfers to the industry. More than 1,000 technology. So this is how it has happened. Now the system has to go. See, friends, let me tell you one thing. Our country has been primarily a technology follower till yesterday. Meaning, world somewhere some technology is developed, and then you also start working after that product comes out and after coming to know about the product, and you also develop it after 5 years or 10 years. What is called technology follower. Technology follower, you want to become a technology leader. That is what is required. You need to develop advanced technology. Meaning the academic institutes in the country have to concentrate more on the basic research on many technologies, many science and technology related issues, which will be future technologies, future SLTP. And R&D organizations like us, which have been concentrating more on the development, should be more on applied research to translation research. And industry should be concentrating more and more on the sustained quality product which can produce in large numbers, and also carrying out research in niche, small areas. There are many industries. Like there is an industry in Hyderabad able to work on radar parts, basic elements. There is an industry in Bangalore which actually develops satellite navigation receivers and supplies it all over the world. There is a company in Bangalore which is working on satellites and electronics, power supplies and all that. They acquired a defense company, big company in France. There are so many things happening. They are able, they are able to come. And we concentrate on high-tech things, large infrastructure basic things, and large systems, complex systems. That's how the whole country can do. One phenomenal change what is happening in the country is a lot of start, a lot of youngsters are coming in who are trying to work. There's a young boy who is working in Bangalore on propulsion system, satellites, for missiles, for many things, electric propulsion, green propulsion. There is a young boy of 25 years in Hyderabad trying to work on high temperature composite materials for rocket motors. So likewise, there are many people who are coming to us. Lots of innovation, lots of support measures for innovation. There is an IDEX in Department of Defense Production supporting innovation in a big way. We have a technology development fund which we are giving to industry freely, and who comes out that I will indigenize this product what you are importing. We have listed out also all the parts which we are importing, and if he says and if we assess his capability that he will be able to do, we are funding the company development today. We have also dared to dream a Kalam's concept, a contest for innovation, and which who comes out with innovative ideas in the different areas, and if he comes out, we are giving award and reward to it. Not only that, if it is a viable thing, we are supporting him through the TDF to come out with a product. And much more schemes, many more schemes are coming out to support the startups, entrepreneurs, and industries in a big way. We are going to support industries in research. So a lot of things are happening that industry should come up, industry should get up, and we should be able to produce in the country. What is the call given by the Honorable Prime Minister, Atmanirbhar Bharat? Self-reliant Bharat. That means you are able to design, you are able to develop, you are able to produce in the country. That is what is self-reliant. And this also should be state-of-the-art, advanced. And this is what is the call given by Honorable Prime Minister. And we have also talked about negatively that we have developed these technologies in the country. We should not import at any cost. All we should be able to develop here, we should be able to produce in the country. The 101 items have been declared, and some more items also will be declared after some time. So these are the types of steps which are taken, trying to promote the industries in every way. And we, DRDO, Defense Research and Organization, trying to work on advanced technology to academia. All these projects, 8 academia, 8 centers of excellence, what we have got, and supporting industry in every way. We brought in a concept for DCPP, Development and Production Partner. The day we start developing of a complex system or a missile or any other system, we will talk about radar or any other system, industry is taken as a development production partner right from day one. Even the first prototype what comes out of DRDO would have been made by that industry. No technology transfers. Parallelly is understanding everything. First one which we go for a development trial also is from the industry. So we can reduce some in these trials of development, user trials and all that time being shortened. The arm are getting more and more integrated with the DRDO and becomes in a so we are concentrating the futurist system. Talk about laser system, hyper-electromagnetics, quantum technologies, artificial intelligence, robotics, underwater communications, quantum communication, quantum navigation. Many of these advanced technologies we are concentrating. And if you are able to concentrate on the advanced technologies, future technologies, what are required for the next 5 years, 10 years, the roadmap is there. If you can work out, no more technology following, the technology leading, you will be able to make the state of the art. That is what is the essence. If industry has to survive, industry cannot survive on only supplying to the Indian armed forces. They require only certain numbers. You should be able to supply to the world. Then you can supply it. Then you can export it. You can only export if your weapon is state of the art, your weapon is advanced, and your weapon is having a sustained quality. If you supply 1 million systems to them, first system or the millionth system also having the same type of quality and your product cost. So then you can export. If the country has to flourish, if the industries have to become prosperous here, we should be, that is what is the call given by Honorable Prime Minister. We should become net exporter, not just net exporter. We should be exporting in a big way. Today, what in armed forces we are seeing today, we are one of the largest importers of defense equipment, arms, and ammunition. This has to change. We should become one of the largest exporters of it. That has to become the academia, the industry, the R&D organizations have to play their major role here. Basic research, applied research, translational research, production, initiation research, identify, distribute, everyone trying to work, everyone trying to develop, everyone trying to work together, synergetic armed forces, then you will be able to produce these what are required today, what are gaps today, and you will be able to produce advanced systems. This will make the country a largest exporter after about 8 to 10 years. Having state-of-the-art weapons with our armed forces, having decisive edge in the technologies with respect to our uh, adversaries, and also you are producing and exporting in a big way. That's the only way from the Ministry of Defense side it becomes prosperous. This is what is the message, and all of you in your various positions when you become in future, I think you should be able to support this endeavor and see that in the coming decade, country becomes very strong and very prosperous. Thank you very much for the opportunity given to me to give my views to all of you. And धन्यवाद. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, sir. I have some questions. The first question is, what are the measures taken by DRDO and the Defense Department in general to inspire confidence among younger generation about world-class competitiveness of DRDO and stop brain drain?
A good question. Firstly, let me tell you the brain drain has actually also, I say that controlled or the change has already come in. Yesterday, I was talking to Director IIT Delhi. He says about 95% of the people who are coming out of that institute. We have actually brought in a lot of measures to support the youngsters, leaving aside just the project work, what they need in the BTech or MTech and like that. A lot of support we are giving to them. As I said, lots of projects we are giving to academic institutes. Scientists are going there, working with them. We are actually in the form of research fellows in DRDO. We are taking a number of them. We have recently worked with MHRD and we are taking 500 PhD students to work in our laboratories. Another thing. And then, as I said, youngsters to support them. A lot of innovation funding schemes we are bringing it, brought in already. As I said, the Technology Development Fund, which is actually supporting these industries, we are coming out another scheme to support only startups and entrepreneurs in a big way, researching them, and we are also trying to give them all our technologies to them. As I said, 1,000 technologies we are giving them and trying to support everything. And I don't want to declare now, wait for about a couple of months. Lot more schemes are coming up to support youngsters. I forgot to tell you in my talk, Honorable Prime Minister said that I want to have 5 laboratories in DRDO where all the people in the laboratories are below 35 years old. So we have created such laboratories, 5 laboratories, where all the scientists, including the director of the laboratory, is below 35 years old. This is again to promote youngsters in the country. A lot more measures are being.
Second
Next.
question is, do you think that to boost indigenization, DRDO needs to be given more autonomy like space and atomic energy departments?
We have a similar autonomy like what space has got and energy has got. The only difference is the space and atomic energy, they only design, they only develop, and they only are the users of. Whereas here, for us, we design and develop. Department of Defense Production produces it. Users are different and things like that. And we have good autonomy right now, and a lot of support is coming up. And I'm sure with whatever I've said, self-reliance we have achieved in many of these areas. In the coming areas, there are lots of steps being taken, lots of programs which are going to come up, make the country more self-reliant. A lot of support is going to come for DRDO further. Next one, please.
Thirdly, how is DRDO prepared in dealing with cyber security threats coming from enemy countries?
We have thought about it long back, and then there is a cyber research going on in the country in a big way. DRDO has initiated a lot of work, a lot of R&D has gone into it, a lot of protection measures have been taken, and our country is one of the countries where a lot of work has been going on in cyber. And also, you must have heard Honorable Prime Minister yesterday saying that we are trying to bring in, integrate all the research work which is going on in the country, the cyber research, and integrate them and make further improve in that area in a big way.
Next is, when is Dhruvastra going to be integrated with LCH? Why there is delay in getting Helena and Dhruvastra ready with LCH?
I think it has already gone to the final stages now. Probably next month or so, the final trials are going to happen in September, and maybe by this year, and the induction process should start. There were some issues with respect to the range of the missile system and target identity and races what they are from. And all those have been sorted out. Next month, the final trial should be there. And my feeling is by this year in the induction process.
Right. Next question is, with FDI and the consequent entry of foreign companies in the strategic defense sector, are we not compromising on confidentiality and secretiveness of our defense, as foreign companies could come to know many crucial aspects of our defense sector?
It won't be. Basically, because we will be talking about only the equipment and particular weapon system, what you require and all that. So there are many things actually are confidential, which will not be known to the industries, which will not be known to the companies that are coming up. It's only that equipment what are required, taking up, which are in generic campaign. Most critical and secret related things are always done by our own laboratories, necessary content. The FDA doesn't compromise anyway with respect to national security.
Right. How the government is planning to support growth of private sector in defense area?
You must have seen the emphasis has been more and more and more on the private industries now. Lots of orders we are giving and lots of encouragement is being done. I will give you an example already what is happening. when the Akash missile is getting produced by Bharat Dynamics, 87% by value. 87% by value is coming from private industry, and VDL has become the lead. And now we are trying to make private industries as the lead in it.
Right. Can we really achieve self-reliance in defense as we are still dependent on imports very profusely?
I've explained in my own whole talk that has been on that only. And we are self-reliant in many areas today. Maybe some high value items we import. So the value of the largest importer is mining. But those things also will be definitely developed in the coming years. And I'm sure that maybe by about next 10 years, we will become completely, at least about 75 to 80% minimum will be produced in the country, and our exports will be up in a big.
Sir, can you explain about Drone Bharat, supposed to be deployed in Ladakh for live video surveillance?
Many UAVs are being developed in the country. Lots of private sector, lots of employees are developing lots of UAVs. The drones, they are encouraging them in a big way. And a lot of surveillance equipment is also being turned to those drones, which will be used for surveillance purposes. And a lot of activities happening. And I don't think I should give you further details in an open forum.
COVID has resulted in supply chain disruptions in defense sector, especially where there is external dependence. So what steps should India take to address this concern?
Good question. There have been a lot of issues which industry have faced, of lockdown, of the employees not being there, not able to run the industry on it. So government and we have thought about it. Lots of measures, lots of support measures have been given, and we are trying to support them with all the payments what need to be given to them, the timely payments, and a lot of orders are also coming up. Lots of new things which are coming up. Those orders will be able to go to private industry, and so support them to the extent possible. Also, finance ministry has announced a number of schemes and even banks to support them in a big way. We are also from DRDO side coming out in a few weeks, lots of schemes which will be supporting the private industry in a big way. And in fact, let me tell you, in the COVID period, as DRDO has worked out many products for COVID, we could open many private industries and make the private industries work on all those things. And private industries have supplied. We have given it to more than about 150 private industries, various components and systems. They opened in during the COVID period and they could develop this system.
Our experience in production of arms and other defense equipments has been disappointing. What is the reason behind this?
I think I've explained in all my 40-minute talk what has been happening and all that. The scenario is changing now. Scenario has changed now, and we have become in many areas self-sufficient, and our percentage of indigenous equipment also has become big, and we are able to produce advanced weapon systems, and we are no less than any advanced nation in many of the areas today. And in remaining areas also, we should be able to pick up the country with the industries coming up and R&D organizations and academia coming up in a big way, and with a lot of synergy with armed forces. My feeling is in next 5 to 10 years, the whole scenario will be completely different, where we'll be completely self-reliant in all the areas, and we should be able to export.
So that's also one question where somebody is typing now. I'm coming to it last. That will be the last question. We will be coming to that.
Time is also running out.
Yes, this is the last. This is the last question. Why was Nirbhay project closed down as a tech demonstrator?
It is not closed.
The last question.
It is not closed.
Okay.
A lot of going to happen around that time.
Right. So thank you very much, sir. So with this, we will end our program. I thank all the viewers for having actively participated in this program. And my special thanks to Dr. G. Satish Reddy, Honorable Chairman, DRDO. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Dr. Prakash, that other 10 minutes program, can we have some other time with the schools people?
No issues, sir. No issues.
So
No
I'm actually running out. I have to go there at
Right.
12:30.
Right.
So we'll have some other time, maybe
Right.
next Sunday or something.
Right, sir. Thank
Thank
you
you very much.
Thank you.
Dhanyavad.
Dhanyavad. Thank you very much, sir. So with this, we will end our program. I thank all the viewers.
Watching.